Welcome to Bed Crime Stories Podcast. I'm your host, T, to my bed crimers. Hi, how are you? I hope you're doing well. To anyone new here, a warm welcome. Thank you for checking out the channel. Do me a favor, if after watching the video you find you enjoyed it or you learned something, smash that like button and please consider subscribing. And if you want to support the work I do, please consider a membership. I keep the price really low, $1.99 a month. Hey, that's much less than even one drink from Starbucks. Now, without further ado, let's dig in. On the day Dan Markel died, his ex-wife Wendi was very busy, despite not having her two sons with her that morning, and despite the university being on summer break. It makes me wonder if she was deliberately trying to fill up the day with activities so that other people could verify where she was. Wendi Adelson began her day at her home at 3303 Aqua Ridge Way. That morning, a TV repair person was to come over and try to fix her broken television. What's odd about that is her ex-boyfriend, Jeffrey Lacasse, told investigators that the crack in the TV screen was so deep that Wendy's little boys, ages 3 and 4 at the time, would not have had the strength to create such a large and deep crater. To me, it sounds like the size of the crack would have made it pretty obvious that the TV was toast, and that is what the repairman concluded. Now, why would Wendi Adelson, with her wealthy brother and parents and her own large stash in the bank, need to repair what was obviously a beyond repair TV? Wendy's mother, Donna Adelson, also texted Wendi about the repair person's visit. Was that the Adelsons' way of making a solid alibi for Wendi, who would have been the person with the most motive to harm Dan Markel? We know now that the police believe Donna was involved in the plot to doin' Danny Markel, because she's been arrested and charged as a co-conspirator. If Donna is indeed guilty, then this repairman visit to Wendy's house was most likely a deliberate act to use the repair person as a third-party verifier who could say Wendi was at her home at such and such hour. Personally, I think Wendi and Donna were maybe banking on the repair person being at Wendy's house for a much longer period. Wendi said, I believe, that he left around 10:15. Remember, Dan Markel is injured between maybe 10:53 a.m. and 10:55 a.m. Wendi told the investigator that after the repair guy left, she stayed home and did some writing on a paper as well as some laundry. Then either at noon or 12:15 p.m., Wendi left to A, buy a bottle of bourbon for a party that same night, B, purchase some crazy glue to fix one of her son's toys, and C, to head to the Mosaic restaurant by 1 p.m. to have lunch with some friends. This was apparently a last-minute lunch date. I don't know about you, but to me that seems like a lot of places to go that morning and early afternoon. Wendi also stated in her subsequent police interview that she was running late that day, and so she didn't have time to even take a shower. Now, if you've been following the case for any amount of time, you likely know that Wendi drove to Trescott Drive that day, which is where Danny Markel was living at the time and where he died. Seeing yellow crime scene tape and seeing that the street was blocked off, Wendi said she turned around and took another route. Note that she didn't bother to call her son's daycare in that moment to make sure that the boys were safe and sound. She also didn't bother to check on her ex-husband, Danny Markel. That might be because she couldn't stand him at that point, but still he was the father of her children, and yellow crime scene tape near his home and down the street should probably raise alarm bells, right? It wasn't that the street was just blocked off. There was yellow crime scene tape going down 5 houses on either side of Dan Markel's house. Now, Sergeant Chris Corbett of the Tallahassee Police Department testified that Wendi encountered the roadblock on Trescott Drive between 12:35 p.m. and 12:45 p.m. Corbett also pointed out that Wendi had gone out of her way to be able to buy the bourbon at ABC Liquor, a specific liquor store near her old home, the one she had shared with Dan Markel. Well, it turns out that there was actually a liquor store 2 minutes from the Mosaic restaurant, which is the cafe where Wendi was to meet her friends at 1 p.m. for lunch. In fact, the Market Square liquor store was in the same shopping center as the Mosaic restaurant. If Wendi was running so late as she said she was, why would she drive out of her way to ABC Liquor when the Market Square liquor store was practically right next door to Mosaic? And I looked up photos of the Market Square liquor store, and it looks like it's very well stocked with every type of liquor you could ever imagine or want. So it truly makes no sense whatsoever for Wendi to have headed out to ABC Liquor when she was running late. Did she drive that way so that she could confirm that the hitman had completed their task? Or did she drive there out of her own morbid curiosity? Did she want to see the crime scene after the crime occurred? Charlie Adelson and who knows who else in the Adelson family were planning to pay more than $100,000 for this murder. So yes, they probably would have wanted to confirm that it happened and to try to make sure that Danny wasn't just injured, but that he was in fact dead. Can't have him survive this, right? Or else he might be pointing fingers. Many wonder if Wendi maybe told Charlie and Katie McBanawa what she saw, and is that why Sigfredo Garcia's baby mama Katie already knew that Garcia and Rivera had harmed Dan before Sigfredo called her, meaning Katie, to tell her it's done, meaning the job is done? Or was Charlie listening to a police scanner out of Tallahassee? I'm speculating here, but Wendi was, per Sergeant Corbett, at Trescott Drive between 12:35 and 12:45 p.m. That's about an hour and a half post the crime. And per Charlie Adelson's arrest affidavit, Sigfredo Garcia called Katie at approximately 12:30 p.m., which was the first contact initiated by Garcia after the crime. And this is when he supposedly said, "It's done." And Katie replied, "I know." Somehow Katie knew about the crime being done before Sigfredo called her at 12:30 p.m. Could Wendi have maybe heard the sirens after Jim Geiger dialed 911? I don't think so. You see, the distance between Wendi's house on Aqua Ridge Way and Danny's house on Trescott Drive is about 5.4 miles, which is a journey that takes about 11 minutes by car. Now, after purchasing the bourbon at ABC Liquor, Wendi drove over to Mosaic, and there she proceeded to have lunch with her friends. I would be very curious to know if she told them about Trescott Drive being blocked by police. Wouldn't you tell your friends about that? Especially if you were running late, and Wendi was about 10 minutes late. And then, wouldn't your friends have said, "Why was the road blocked?" How would Wendi have answered that? Would she have said, "I don't know," or "I didn't bother to ask the officer," or maybe "I think a tree fell"? I mean, even if Wendi wasn't concerned about her sons and her ex-husband after seeing all that, you'd think her friends would be. Wouldn't they prod her into calling Danny or the daycare? We know that Wendi's real estate person dialed her after hearing about a shooting on Trescott, and she did that even knowing that Wendi no longer lived there. That message was very telling, by the way, because the real estate agent only said she wanted to make sure that Wendi and her sons were okay. The real estate agent didn't bother to inquire about the one person who lived full-time on Trescott Drive. Danny Markel. Do you think this real estate lady had heard all of Wendi's complaints about Danny and believed that Danny was abusive and just a horrible person? Could that be why she failed to inquire about him? Now, during Wendi's lunch at Mosaic, which somehow the police found out about, she was approached by law enforcement, who then escorted her in a police car to the station. How did the cops know where Wendi was? Inquiring minds want to know. Did they put out an APB? Did they call Wendi's parents, Donna and Harvey? Is Tallahassee so small that you can find anyone in a jiffy? By the way, do you guys believe what Wendi said about having laryngitis earlier in the week? She said this to explain why she couldn't speak to Danny about her son's school enrollment until Friday. Jeff Lacoste never made mention of Wendi having laryngitis when they saw each other at yoga on Tuesday night. And there was certainly no sign of laryngitis during Wendi's long police interview on Friday. As for the rest of Wendi's day on July 18th, she spent it at the police station. There, she willingly handed over her cell phone, but we know she deleted at least one text, the text that she sent to Charlie, which said, "This is so sweet." Why was that text deleted before Wendi handed her phone over? And what was it about? What was so sweet? Until the next time on Bed Crime Stories.
State agent, or who I had gone with to find a house. She just said she was driving around town and she heard there was a shooting on Trescott.
Yeah, that's what this is about. I'm sorry you had to hear it that way.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if I should,
It's all right, just leave it there. Is it still on?
It's right there.
Do you want to just hit play again for me?
Sure.
Hey, it's Lisa Carey. It is Friday, and I feel like an idiot doing this, but I just heard that there was a shooting over on Trescott, and I promise I'm not trying to be dramatic or even nosy. I don't know, just checking on you, my friend. I hope all is well. I hope your sweet boys are well, and if there's anything you need, let me know. It just ran a chill down my spine when I heard that there was something going on Trescott. All right, 212-3083. Hope all is well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
That's all right, you can stop it. Or does it stop automatically?
It's done.
Okay, do you have your identification with you?